Well, hello, I'm Doug Carlberg. I've known Ricardo for over 30 years. Christina, Louise, Rick, I wish we could be here, but a few of us want to share a few moments that we had with Ricardo over the 10 years plus that we were with him at Harris Farallon. Number one, it started off very early in my career. I interviewed for a job in Melbourne, Florida, and Ricardo at the time was heading up the consulting group for continuous improvement and quality. And a few months later, I got a formal offer and I was going to get ready to move to San Carlos, California. And the movers are packing me up and I get this call from Ricardo. He says, Doug, I'm going to be your new boss. I've accepted a job as general manager and vice president for the Farallon division. And we have a problem. And I'm going, I haven't even started yet. And we have a problem. He goes, yeah, the plant manager in San Antonio just quit, and I need you to put everything in storage and go down and find a replacement. So that's how the relation started with Ricardo. And for the next 9 years, he was probably the best boss I ever had. He just let me run with it. We took that division from the worst division within the corporation. 5 years later, we were the best division. And he pulled a team together that's probably the best team I've ever worked with. I've got some other funny stories I want to share you about. I mean, early on, the first meeting we had with all the employees in San Antonio, we were in the break area. And we had a bunch of people just really packed in there. And we had a few people out in the back where they could smoke. Ricardo gets up and speaks. He points to the back. He says, those of you that are out there in the back, you're either in my team or you're out of my team. What are you going to do? And that kind of set the stage going forward. The other thing that he did is he knew how to team people together. One of the other vice presidents that constantly we were knocking heads together, we were doing a bunch of team building. We went up to Yosemite, we went through a ropes course, and he teamed me with Carl Kramer. And to get through this rope course, you had to reach out and help the other person get across these beams, these ropes, and everything else like that. And Carl Kramer and I got through that and really improved our relationship going forward. We will miss Ricardo. You know, as you know, beyond Harris, Ricardo was on my advisory board for 20 years. And he got M2 Global where we are today, and I was able to sell the company. And I couldn't have done it without his leadership. Even though he couldn't make the meetings there toward the end, I would send him the reports, and he would give me some great feedback. He will truly be missed.
Hi, I'm Joel Gunn. Honestly, I didn't know Ricardo very well because I was several layers down in the org chart, so I didn't get to interact with him often. But there was two stories that I wanted to share that just say a little bit about who he was as a leader. One, in the early days, he came in and everybody, was excited. They wanted to impress him and wanted to communicate well. And so several of us were putting together the slide decks, the PowerPoint presentations. And one of my close friends, we're still friends today, was responsible for printing out the overhead transparencies is what we used back then. We didn't project to a screen. We had an overhead projector. And so to do it right, he printed everything in color, which was one, very expensive, two, very time consuming. And so true to his nature, when Ricardo saw that, he interrupted the meeting and said, why did we do these in color? I never want us to waste that time or money again. We need to focus on what's important, not impressing me. And so he certainly set the tone by us understanding he knew what was important and what wasn't. And he didn't want anything fancy. Let's get the job done in black and white, got the job done. And so we realized very soon that he was a no-nonsense kind of guy. The other thing that he did, though, was he really created a team environment and made everybody feel as if they were important. I was a young man in my 20s, got involved in a project that later became M2 Global, but this was in the early days when we were moving Ferrite's operation from California actually to San Antonio. And I had taken a lead role in gathering some data and putting together the presentation. And so Doug invited me into that meeting And I thought I was just going to be there, supporting data and answering questions. As it turned out, Doug and my then boss, John, the director, decided to let me do a big part of the presentation. And so, of course, I was nervous being the most junior guy in the room and also the youngest. But Ricardo had a way of setting you at ease as long as you were professional, knew what you were talking about. He treated me as an equal in the room. And that had a huge impact on my life. And I remember that as a pivotal moment, is that he communicated through his questions and the way he treated me with respect was that I was valuable as anybody else in the room. And so that meant a lot to me. And I wanted to share that with you.
Hi, I'm Archie Wohlfahrt. I was the Director of Manufacturing Engineering during my time at Harris, the Microwave Communication Division, and knew Ricardo for many years, both at Harris and at M2 Global. And in the early days, when we actually knew Ricardo before he became the Vice President and General Manager of the Microwave Communication Division, because he headed up the corporate consulting group in Melbourne. So we knew him. And around 1990, when he was selected as being our Vice President and General Manager, a lot of us that were technically oriented and had some background in microwave radio were wondering about how he would do, because he had no background really that we knew of in that, and almost everybody that had any association with Harris, with the Faraday group had a lot of microwave radio background. But as it turned out, he became our best general manager we ever had. And the reason was he was a real team builder. He ended up, we were all of us that were in the manufacturing area, we were like behind the scenes, and nobody paid that much attention to us. But when Ricardo came in, the thing he really did was build the team and bring the marketing group, the sales group, engineering group, and manufacturing all together. And so we really enjoyed that. And as Doug pointed out when he was speaking, it actually brought us from being the worst division in the corporation to the best. And it was all because of Ricardo's leadership. And one of the funny stories that I remember of Ricardo, besides the "are you in or are you out" that Doug brought up, was the fact that once Ricardo was in San Antonio and he was talking to the management group, and we were all in the conference room, and he was interrupted by our secretary, who informed him that Juan Diaz, who was our marketing guy in South America and Mexico, wanted to speak to him. So he actually went to the telephone that was in the conference room so we could hear him. And he was speaking Spanish, of course, to Juan Diaz. And they, I don't know what the story was, but it wasn't making Ricardo very happy. And so he got very excited and animated and raised his voice, still speaking Spanish. And then he slammed the phone down. And then he came back and addressed us. He walked to the end of the table and, to our amazement, continued to speak Spanish to us for about 10 minutes. And we couldn't understand what he was talking about. And no one had the nerve to bring it up that he was speaking Spanish to us. So anyway, that was just one of the interesting stories, but he was a great general manager, and we're going to miss him a lot.
Ricardo, you've had a major impact on a lot of our lives. And we're going to miss you, but we're often going to think about you. What we did when you retired from Theranon, the team in San Antonio put a little video together wishing you farewell. And I'd like to share that with you as we leave this video today. And Christina, Louise, Rick, your father, your husband was an amazing man. We're going to miss him.